My name is Gabriella. I am the Injector Babe on Instagram and other social media platforms. I own my own medical spa in North Andover, Massachusetts called Babe Beauty Company, and I am the lead aesthetic provider there.
How you actually got to start doing all of this.
It's not easy being a business owner. Like a lot of people just see the glamorous side, like, the dinners and the clothes and the cars and the travel and all that. But you have to be, I just invested all this money in opening my business. How am I going to be able to pay my rent? How am I going to be able to pay my malpractice insurance?
Thank you very much, Gabriella, for being here today. I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So, for those that don't know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Gabriella. I am the Injector Babe on Instagram and other social media platforms. I own my own medical spa in North Andover, Massachusetts called Babe Beauty Company, and I am the lead aesthetic provider there. So we offer Botox filler, laser facials, diamond glow facials, as well as skin resurfacing for all of your aesthetic and beauty needs.
Beautiful. I love skincare, which is how we actually met. So it's just beautiful to hear everything that you're doing, and it's very inspirational. And I cannot wait to get into the story of how you actually got to start doing all of this. So you are into medical skincare.
Yes, correct.
Medical skincare, and you're certified, you're licensed, you went to school for it. So how was your journey getting to the career you are in now?
It's actually been somewhat fascinating, and I've spent a long time in school. So basically, I started as an artist. I think I was just born a creative, and I was told from a very young age that I was good at drawing, and spent very much of my early childhood and young adulthood being an artist. And then decided to go to an art school, mass art, and I hated it. But I finished school, got my bachelor's in illustration, and then quickly decided that I wanted to take my career in a different direction, and took my prerequisites.
What led you, because, and sorry for the interruption, but you said you quickly decided that you wanted to take it into a different direction. So what led you to that decision?
Yeah, so in the summer after I graduated from my art program, I started nannying, and I met a family with a young girl who had a very rare disease, and working with her made me want to help people in a similar situation. So I think that was inspiring to me to want to go in the direction of nursing. And I kind of also looked at my parents, who were very inspirational. My dad was an entrepreneur and my mother was a veterinarian, so she's in medicine. And I was like, okay, feel like that could be like a good direction to go. You're always going to have a job in the medical field. So I decided to go into nursing, because I met that little girl in that family. So took my prerequisites, went to MGH, Institute of Health Professions, and got my accelerated bachelor's in nursing, and then started working as a nurse. And a few years into working, I had met two of my colleagues who took a course in Botox and filler, and I was very intrigued. I was like, oh, what is that? Like, what does that mean? So they kind of explained it to me, and I was like, wow. So you can sort of reshape somebody's face, or like sculpt somebody's face, and also be a nurse. So like doing the art part and doing the medicine part. And I was like, wow, I definitely want to look into this. So I took a course and I was like in love instantly.
Was it scary, the switch?
I felt like at first it was not, because I worked for a medical spa. So someone who was like already established in the aesthetic arena. And I also worked for sort of like a regular medical nursing job at the same time. I think the part that was scary for me was after about a year and a half, 2 years of working in the medical spa, I had this feeling inside of me that was like, you have to do this on your own. And I didn't know about the timing. Like, you always ask yourself, is this the right time to make a change? And change is scary. So I asked myself for maybe like a whole entire year.
Yeah.
Should I open my own practice? Is now the right time? Do I have the right amount of support and resources? Like, am I going to be good at this? I don't know. And I finally had a moment where I was just like, you know what? If I don't do this ever in my life because I'm afraid of the unknown or taking a risk, I will regret it.
Word.
Yeah.
That is so true. I feel like we all get to that moment in our lives where we have a choice to make that we don't have the results beforehand.
Yeah.
And that choice will make all the difference. And, just hearing you say it so beautifully, I feel like it's so relatable. And that's why I was asking, like, was the switch scary? Because you switched. First of all, you were in a whole different career to begin with. So
Yeah.
I mean, you had like a plan, and I'm assuming you already had an idea of what you wanted to do with arts and all of that. And then you get to a point where you're like, I'm not liking this, but I think I'm going to like nursing. This seems to me more like something that will give me happiness and that will make me feel fulfilled. And then you jump into this new world and new field that requires you going back to school. So it's like you're not scared of the challenge, even the academic one, like going back to school, going into a whole different field, because arts and sciences are very different. Like, I don't even know how you did that, by the way. Like, usually people that are good at one are not good at the other. Like, I don't see a lot of people that are good at both.
Yeah.
So that's definitely like something that I just kudos to you on that.
Oh, well, thank you.
And then you go into this new field, and I'll let you continue the story, but you're killing it in that field too. And there was yet another transition in that field as well, but I'll let you go ahead with this story. So yeah, you
Thank
start.
you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it still is scary. Every day is scary, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that for anyone. Or anything that you decide to do in your life, changing careers, making big decisions with, buying a house or settling down with somebody, like deciding to have kids. Like, these are all scary choices. And I think making the decision to really find, like you said it in such a nice way, like really to find what truly makes me happy was such a driving factor in choosing to go in this direction and starting my own business and to get into aesthetics. Like, I honestly thank God and the universe every day that I started at this one point with art, and my life path has taken me to this place where I'm at now, where I am seeing success and I'm, changing people's lives, and I'm impacting other nurses who want to get into the aesthetic field, and I'm able to share my knowledge and experience and help them to grow as well. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful every day for all of that. But I will say taking a risk and leaning into something that scares you a lot is sometimes extremely rewarding.
Beautiful. What influenced your decision to move from where you were working? So you were already in the aesthetics world and you were working at a big medical spa. What influenced your decision to move from there to start your own business?
Yeah, so I felt this little like feeling inside me as a creative person. It's interesting, the sort of difference between working as a nurse in an established, hospital where you have a doctor or a nurse practitioner or someone higher above you who's giving you sort of guidelines and orders to work from. You don't have much autonomy in that setting. And then in the aesthetic setting, working in the med spa, I sort of felt this freedom where, yes, I still had to sign orders and send them to some provider who was above me in terms of like my licensing, but I had so much creativity, like freedom to use my creative license when injecting, especially filler, that it gave this little spark inside of me that was like, wait, what if you did this on your own? Like, you could do this on your own. And being able to make sort of aesthetic and creative, but also clinical decisions was somehow like this driving force where I was like, oh, I really want to be able to do this on my own, create a logo, like create a brand. I had a vision for, my office, how I wanted it to look. And it was just sort of dreamt up along the way. And then really just giving into that little burning spark inside of me that was saying, like, you have to do this. You have to do this.
Beautiful. Do you feel like it's hard as a woman to go into business?
That's an interesting question. So I think that because I'm going to say no, because of my background, and that's very like niche, that's very specific to me because I grew up with a mother who was very determined, hardworking. She sort of was a role model for me as an independent female, even though, her and my dad are married. They've been married for like 35 years. And my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his own business. I feel like as a female being in this space, the aesthetic world is very, I think, female oriented. Like, it's driven towards women. There are a lot of women in this space who are providing aesthetic treatment. So I think specifically in this industry, not as much as maybe other industries, because beauty is always geared towards women primarily. But I would say, I think it feels more empowering than anything to be a woman in business and to be a woman entrepreneur. I'm looking at it differently because it feels so freeing. It feels so inspiring. Like, I want to use this position to be able to help other women realize all of the potential that they have in starting their own business, branching out on their own, having their own career, doing all of the things. And it's not necessarily like I'm a feminist. It's more, I just think as an individual, you should be able to follow your dreams and your passions and make them come to fruition if that's like truly what you want and desire.
That is what I think everyone should truly want and desire, right? And I think deep down, that's what we all want. Whatever
Yeah. Male, female, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it has to be like, oh, I want to become the next president, or I want to become like whatever it is. It could be as small as I want to start my cupcake business. And not to say that a cupcake business is small, but just like understand, I guess, is the idea that as women, our dreams should be more limited because there's certain things that are good for us and others that don't necessarily, and that is some people's opinion. This is not
of course.
That don't necessarily, they're not necessarily our thing, people think about women, they think about taking care of homes, they think about, okay, maybe you can get a job somewhere, just something that will bring you home early enough and things like that. Like, I don't know, I just don't understand why in 2023 we still hear things like that sometimes, because I feel like we can do it all. Like, I don't think it has to be a choice. If you want to be a business owner, you can be a business owner. You can be a wife one day if that's what you want. You can be a mother if that's what you want. You can be a good daughter as you're running your business, a good sibling, a good friend. Like, I don't understand why a lot of times people expect us to choose. And sometimes I've heard this, and that's maybe why I'm even talking about it passionately. It's almost like when you want too much for yourself, then you're tagged to be too ambitious. But I've never heard anyone say a man is too ambitious. Like, I don't hear that as
no,
I don't. So like, it's interesting to me that anytime we talk about someone being over ambitious, it's usually always a woman that comes up in that. But I mean, people like you and many other women out there are examples of you can be a woman and you can also make your dreams come true, whatever the dream is. So I'm definitely happy that you're here and you're sharing your story. And I hope if women out there that are like listening to this as well would just relate and be inspired as well. I want to ask something. I would imagine that when you started your business, especially at the beginning, like your challenges that come up that you encountered. And I would also imagine that there were maybe even times that you felt a little bit discouraged, right? Like you felt like, should I just quit? Like maybe I should just leave this and go back to what I was doing before, like maybe it will be easier. And the reason why I'm asking this is because like even myself, like things that I've started, and sometimes I would just meet challenges and I would feel like almost like giving up. And I'll tell you how I cope with it, but I wanted to hear from you as well.
Of course. Girl, I was crying this morning.
Wow.
Yes, it's the hustle. I think I posted about this, but the hustle culture. Yes, being female, being a woman, like there are a lot of patriarchal expectations of us to, want to have children and keep up a home and, have a job, make money, but like don't do too much.
Exactly.
But when you're in this position, yes, you can do all of the things. I can't speak to having children because I don't have any, but I have so many women entrepreneur friends who are doing exactly that. They own their own businesses. They're taking care of their kids. They're single mothers. They are killing it and they're doing it every day. And it's just amazing to see like how strong we are. And we all confide in each other about our struggles. Like it's not easy being a business owner. Like a lot of people just see the glamorous side, like, the dinners and the clothes and the cars and the travel and all that. But you have to be on all the time and you have to be focused all the time and grinding. Like I think about business 24/7. And struggles that I've had in the beginning, yeah, they definitely change, but I will say there were plenty of weeks where I was like, oh my God, I only have one client booked. Like, how do I get more? Where do they come from? My Instagram posts, like I got 10 likes, like what, why? And we ask ourselves all these questions, and it's definitely to give us, I think, more strength. Like the challenges that we face are to really make us sit back and think and feel and be able to say, okay, if the universe or God is going to challenge me in this way, like how am I going to face it?
Yeah.
Right. So definitely being worried about, okay, I just invested all this money in opening my business. How am I going to be able to pay my rent? How am I going to be able to pay my malpractice insurance? Like having those thoughts. I don't think about that so much anymore. My challenges that I face now, and I think I've always thought about this, is like maybe every business owner thinks about this, is like, did I make the right decision? Like, am I doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And is it still, it still makes me happy, but is it the right decision? Like, did I make a mistake? Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm so grateful that I get to do this, but sometimes you just have these moments of self-doubt where you're like, oh God, like it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure, but it's beautiful. Like you get to tell yourself every day that you created something. Yeah. And you are making it flourish and you're touching other people. Like inviting me to come speak with you. That's like, I feel so honored, and you should feel so proud of yourself for having, the ability to share that with your audience as well. And I don't know, I think that's amazing.
Thank you. And everything you said, I seconded. You just said it so beautifully. I feel like I've had times where I've started something or I have tried to do something and the outcome wasn't necessarily what I was hoping for. And I know how discouraging it can be. And that's probably why I brought it up in this discussion as well. I think when you remember your reason for doing it, it keeps you going. So if you are starting a business, for example, and the reason for your business is, like in your case, you said it had a lot to do with, this is something that I enjoy doing. This is something that makes me happy. And I also want to be able to like inspire people in the process and whatnot. When you remember that, it keeps you moving, because I feel like that's what has kept me moving in many things. Like I just think back to why I'm even doing it. I think the things that maybe it has been harder to keep moving on are the things that I didn't have the right why for.
Yes.
So it's like I got into them maybe out of peer pressure, maybe out of whatever it was. It wasn't necessarily something that was meant for me. But when something is meant for you and you keep on going at it, it will work out eventually. It will work out.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah. So I honestly, where do you see your business, your vision, everything that you're doing 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I definitely, well, I'd like to say I see myself on like a beach in Mykonos while I'm making passive income. And that will happen. But as a business owner, I definitely see myself having an academy where I'm able to share, my experience building a business from the ground up and providing aesthetic treatments with other nurses or nurse practitioners who desire and dream to do the same. And then expanding my business just to have a bigger space, more rooms, maybe multiple locations would be great. So definitely building an empire for sure.
Beautifully said. Amen to that. And I see all of that happening for you. So just
thank you.
Absolutely. I know one of the things you do, just as you mentioned, you do teach people as well, and you have online classes.
They're in person currently. I'm working on being able to offer online in, the very near future. But yeah, I do offer one-on-one courses for advanced trainings. So doing Botox and filler, as long as you have your certification currently, and you're also have a valid license in the state of Massachusetts, and then doing a 12-week aesthetic mentorship program, which is geared towards one, being able to inject, so enhancing your skills as an aesthetic provider, but also going over tactics to starting your business. What does it take to kind of open your doors? Like, what do you need on the back end? And just giving tips and tricks as to, what should you charge for this service or that service? Like, what sort of paperwork do you need or policies do you need? Should you get a lawyer or not get a lawyer for your practice? Things, just little things like that, nobody taught me necessarily. I just had to like go out there and find it, and being able to put that in like a nice little box with a ribbon for people.
That's beautiful. I really hope for people that are able to access your classes that are watching this, I just wanted them to know that. And probably we can also add that to the description, like some of the links to your business and also the classes that you offer. And hopefully, eventually, when they do become available online, people from all over the world will be able to access them as well. So
oh my goodness. That would be amazing.
That would be for sure, because you do so many things aside from the things you mentioned. You also do you deal with acne, for example.
I do, yes.
And that's a very common problem. Like so many people, I've dealt with acne for a long time, and so I know for sure. I'm a what would they call it? Is it I'm a witness.
Witness. She's a witness
to the fact that your treatments do work. And so just
I know your skin looks so good.
Thank you.
You're glowing. You're glowing, girl.
Curtsy to you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
So we'll put all of that and make all of that available as well. And again, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing everything that you did with us. And I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Anytime. You are a goddess.
Thank you.
Thank you.